Here I am again. I'm gonna make sure this is recording. Yeah, it is. Okay. I want to, my last video I mentioned the Monroe Institute, 4 beats per second. Those are the binaural beats, not 4 beats per minute. I watched that tape and I said, no, it's 4 beats per second. So, okay, so I arrived at the Monroe Institute and I am completely clueless as to what meditation is. At least I think I am. And I want to get a hold of my son, but I don't go in there with that expectation, although I think deep down there was a little bit of it. But at least I was, you know, trying, right? And like I said, I asked for a drink of water, and I got a fire hose when I got there, because the way it's set up is that they put you in these little cubicles, and it's very warm and cozy little cubicle, and you have earphones in the cubicle, and they start you off with being able to, you know, lay there in a very soft bed. It's black, pitch black inside the cubicle. And you're sometimes in a room with someone else who's in their cubicle. Everybody's in a cubicle. And you're lying there with these earphones on, and they start you off with binaural beats. They have different levels. They call them focus levels. I'm not going to get real into that. But basically what the Gateway Voyage seemed to, for me to be, was to show me I could change my perspective in this and undo a lot of conditioning of how I perceive consciousness, and how my brain received it and perceived it. Because one of the things I do know, and from reading, is that this is a very, you know, our eyes and our ears and what comes in through the 5 senses is very limited. And there's a whole lot more going on in this place than just these 5 senses. And one way to access a lot of what's going on is to go into meditation. So the first thing I did when I got, in the first day actually, the first day I went up there and got into my cubicle and put the tapes on, and I was being very serious, you know, about doing this. So I pretended, I put my hands on my chest and I laid there and I got very, very comfortable. And I pretended I was a corpse. I decided, well, I'm going to make my body into a corpse. I'm going to imagine it's a corpse, because it's the only way I can identify with it so that I can get the hell out of it, or at least not perceive it. I'll make it into a corpse. And within a few minutes of being under the influence of the binaural beat tapes, I felt someone come from I'm not going to call it the other side, because the other side's it's right here, okay? It's right here. It's just vibrating a lot higher than this dimension. Somebody put a lily on my chest as a joke. It was like, one of them, it may have been JOeY, just put a lily on my chest, and they were all laughing at me. So she's making herself into a corpse. Let's put a lily on her chest. That was my first immediate inclination that I was now perceiving much differently than I ever have. And I must have been really ripe and ready for meditation, because right off the bat, JOeY came. And some of the experiences I had at the Gateway Voyage were beyond anything I could ever have done here without being in a group setting where I had, and with these binaural beats. I was in a star field. I was out of my body. I was in a star field floating. I saw stars all around me, and I saw JOeY laughing And I said to him, Joey, I said, show me a different aspect of myself besides this one, besides the body that I'm wearing. And he said, okay. And he put a mirror in front of me, and I saw this one, and he started laughing, and I said, I don't want to see her. So that was his joke. He was laughing. And so then he showed me this beautiful black figure flitting through the galaxies, and it had blue translucent light around it, and she was just absolutely beautiful and just dancing in glee. And I painted her. I thought, I'm going to paint her. You know, she's one of the paintings I have. But what they got through to me was, you can be anything. You know, you are everything. You know, here's another aspect of you. And you know, he could have shown me an infinity of aspects of me, and he just happened to show me that one because he knew I'd like it, I guess. But that star field kept coming every time I'd go under, and each time it came, it would become more intense. Sometimes I would see a ladder next to me. Sometimes I would see other things. I'm not going to go into all of them in detail, but each time I meditated, I was leaving this perspective. And I remember going downstairs the first day and literally falling into tears of joy that I could do this. I didn't know I could do this. I had no idea this was possible. I felt like I'd found the Holy Grail when I went to the Monroe Institute. I felt as though I had found the Holy Grail. It was like it was the telephone line, you know, to everything else. And my experience, I remember telling Pablo, who's my friend on Facebook, and he also we were both crying because I don't think either of us really knew we could do this. It was so incredible. And one time when I was in the meditation and I was going down real deep, I went back into that star field. It was just beautiful. And I thought, I'm going to open my eyes. I'm going to open my eyes and see what happens. And I did. I opened my eyes, and there was still the star field. And then I thought to myself, there must be trick lighting in this cubicle because I'm still in the star field with my eyes open, right? So when we went downstairs to share our experiences at Monroe, I asked them if it was trick lighting. They said, no, we don't have any trick lighting here, you know. So I learned to meditate, and I still use the tapes, and I still leave this perception a lot because I need to. It can't be, you know, I know it's unreal. I know it's what I'm creating, and I know I have to get out of it. And I talk to JOeY every day. I talk to Bob every day. I talk to all of them. Sometimes I would get a vision of them all, even before I went to Monroe. I would get a vision of them all standing around me with the look on their faces of love and understanding. And like a parent, when your child misbehaves, how a parent looks at the child like, I love you even though you're being a real jerk. You know, that's the look they were giving me when I would have my temper tantrums, when I was angry, when I was sad. They didn't mind. They still stood around me with that look of, look at that little girl, she's really losing it. We love her anyway. So that's the feeling I've always had about that. And the closer I get to an understanding of that perspective that they're in, that JOeY's in, the more I know that's how they perceive me, and that's also how to perceive myself. And I'm standing there with them, the higher Marianne, the Marianne that's real Marianne, I call her. I gotta give her a name. The I am, the real Marianne. She's standing there with them, watching the play, this play. And she's also patting that little girl on the head and saying, look, it's okay. You know, no matter how angry you get, no matter how much you have a fit that it didn't work out the way your egoic mind wanted it to, We're still loving you. We're still loving you with all our hearts. So that's the Monroe Institute. I went back there again a second time. I went into an isolation chamber. The specific reason I went the second time was to actually use the isolation chamber, where I literally was completely in a place of blackness, and I had no fear whatsoever of that. And I laid there and I went into what they call a delta state for over an hour, and they cranked up those binaural beats. I said, crank them all the way up. I wanted so much to experience, and I was floating in that field of stars, floating there. I felt like a fat planet, you know. JOeY has not stopped coming to people. He came to my friend Pablo. Pablo was just about to watch a movie, and Pablo lives in Rio. Pablo was going to watch a movie, and he wrote to me and said that he decided to meditate right before the movie started, just for the heck of it, you know. So he was meditating, you know, because you can put yourself right into meditation. You can just go there if you practice it enough. And he went into meditation in the movie theater, and all of a sudden JOeY pops up. Now Pablo's never met JOeY in physical form, but JOeY popped up, and JOeY said to Pablo, there's a word in this movie, and I want you to keep your eyes open because this word's going to show up over and over again. And Pablo said to JOeY in meditation, he said, well, all movies have words in them. That's silly. Why would I know which word it is? And JOeY said, you'll know, you'll know. Well, the word in the movie that kept coming up was the word Excelsior. It kept coming up in the movie over and over again. And Pablo, and then in the meditation, JOeY said to Pablo, he showed Pablo a bunch of spaceships, like tons of them. And Pablo didn't know what the heck that meant. So Pablo wrote to me and he said, this is what happened in my meditation. I was sitting in the theater, and your son came to me and showed me the word Excelsior, and he showed me a bunch of spaceships. And that's it. And he also said for me not to tell my mom to quit worrying about me. Well, JOeY's smart enough to know that mom's going to go research this, you know, because JOeY comes to somebody, I'm going to figure out why he's saying these things. And JOeY, so I went on Google immediately and looked up Excelsior, which meant, you know, forwards and upwards. And I thought, well, that makes sense because JOeY's, you know, at warp speed, right? And then I looked up, but I couldn't figure out the spaceships. I had no idea why he would show Pablo a whole bunch of spaceships. And I thought, gee, that doesn't make any sense. And then all of a sudden it hit me to type in Excelsior and click on images instead of clicking on the web. So I clicked on images, and what do you think showed up? Whole page full of spaceships. Now, neither I nor Pablo knew that the Star Trek series had named their fleet Excelsior Fleet. Their second fleet had been called Excelsior. So what JOeY was trying again to say, and I don't overanalyze it, was, yeah, I'm alive, and yeah, I'm going to send this really cool clue to you, Mom, and you're going to get it because you're smart enough to research it. So the spaceships in the Excelsior, which I had no idea about, you know, what both of those meant. He sent those images right off the bat to Pablo and got through to him because he knew that Pablo would tell me, and Pablo didn't know what they meant, you know. But JOeY knew I was going to figure that out. And so when JOeY sends things to people, he always sends it to other people, and then I figure it out. But again, he showed me that he is still letting me know to lighten up. And so that's the Monroe Institute story. I don't need to go back there. I don't feel a need to go back there. I know now that I can meditate. I know now that I've actually had a few experiences here in meditation where I've, you know, actually come up. I didn't. What I'm learning is that I'm a lot more magnificent. Not the egoic me, but the magnificent divine me is starting to recognize itself. That all along I've had all these gifts and abilities that have been in there, and I've kind of shoved them down or ignored them. That's why I'll do a painting every once in a while, because the paintings will always show me exactly the truth of what's going on with me. That's a form of magic, really. Who is to say that we are not capable? We are unlimited creatures. We are unlimited in our abilities to access every damn dimension. You look at some of the people online who do lucid dreaming, who go to other dimensions, who have no problem with it, who do remote viewing. When I was a child, I used to be able to see this little television screen in my head, and I used to take little trips. I lost that, but now I'm regaining that ability. I lost it because I was told, I just never knew what it was. It was there all along. There's a lot of gifts I'm finding out that I've had all along, but it's fine-tuning them and discovering them again that is occurring. And so my next video, maybe my last or my second to the last one, but it's about some experiences I've had about all that, okay? And thank you for listening to this one. And thank you, Pablo, for telling me about JOeY coming to you. And I guess Pablo also said that JOeY, he had a vision of me, all of them surrounding me in this huge church, and I was very beautiful. And I looked like I was dressed in white, and they were all cheering me on. And I think that's true of everybody. I think that all of our loved ones, it's what I believe, that all of my loved ones that have made that journey into spirit and home cheer me on. You know, they're like I'm in a marathon, and they're like, come on, you can do it. So I get that feeling every once in a while, and I listen to those feelings. And so that's what my next video will be about, is listening to the essence of those around us that are letting us know, and listening to my heart. Okay, thank you.